Yeah, you don't want to be that poor SOB right there. Hey, welcome in, guys. Happy Friday. It's another edition of the Joe Raineri Show brought to you by uwager.eu. Hell, it is where America bets, and you guys know by now it is where the show bets, and I hope very much so that you guys have been paying attention, and you have at the very least opened yourself up a little account there, giving yourself an opportunity to do some line shopping, and can't stress it enough. We stress it each and every day, how important it is, especially this time of year, guys, to be able to go line shopping. Why? Because you're not betting teams, you're betting numbers. Yes, and today's guest, guys, I can tell you right now, there is nobody who understands that better than Dr.Bob, DrBobSports.com. He's going to join us anytime we have an opportunity to be able to hang with him, talk with him. We love it. The guy is one of the most well-respected, one of the most successful sports handicappers in the business. You guys have seen him everywhere, CNBC, ESPN, Yahoo. The guy is just, he's a legend in many parts in the industry. The guy is amazing, and asked him to come on today so we could talk a little bit about the NBA playoffs coming up, starting of course, tomorrow, Saturday. And, you know, all week long on the show with Dane and I on Making Rain in the morning on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network, or Gabe Morency and I on the morning after. It's amazing how many things we have heard all week from viewers and listeners about handicapping strategy towards the NBA. And there are just so many false narratives. There's so much false information going on about how to approach handicapping the NBA this time of year that I thought it would be, I couldn't think of anybody better to be able to help explain us, kind of walk us through a little bit here over the next 10 minutes or so. Some of the things, some of the do's and don'ts, some of the things to look out for. Talk about some of the teams right now. Are they nearly as bad as some people think they are? Is it nearly going to be as easy as some people say it is for certain teams? Boston, how are they really that bad off without Marcus Smart? Those types of things. I think it'll be very informative, and it'll help all of us be a little bit more profitable this NBA handicapping playoff season, which is what is about it. So we're gonna have Dr. Bob join us in here just in a couple of minutes. Also, our friends from Trendy Bets, they've got another Major League Baseball play for you, MLB. We've got a couple of plays tonight in the books locked up. We'll give you those coming up. But again, it's all about, guys, all about line shopping. Please, 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 if you don't do it now, just write the damn number down. 1-800-UWAGER. That's 1-800-UWAGER. Write that code down. JRS50. They're going to double it for you right now. If you call, open up the account, and it'll take you about 3.5 minutes, I know, because that's how long it took me when I opened it up. It'll take you about 3.5 minutes. Operators are standing by. I'm telling you, the customer service second to none at UWager. It's very simple. You give them that code, JRS50, and they'll give you a 100% bonus deposit match right now. If you call, just talk to them. They're waiting. 1-800-UWager. You put in $50, they'll put in $50. You put in 100, they'll put in 100. You put in 500, they'll put in 500. It doesn't have to be Fort Knox that you open up the account with here, guys. The point is, you need options, and some of the best pricing that we have been seeing here over the last month and a half has been at UWager. And I know a lot of you guys have opened up the account, and you're seeing the same thing that I'm seeing, that very aggressive pricing. Some of the best right now out there. You need an offshore that you can rely on, guys, and I'm giving it to you right now. 1-800-UWager, JRS50. Put a couple of bucks in there. Keep it open so this way you can shop and give yourself the best chance of profiting this weekend and beyond. Of course, Masters going on, and the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs back at it. Major League Baseball, hell, UFC coming up a little bit later. Of course, we'll have our good friends from WagerTalk.com. Kyle Anthony, he's all over UFC 236 in Atlanta on Saturday night. You'll hear from him, especially for the two main fights. So we are loaded. We are packed. Quick update on the Masters as we have it on over here. Brooks Koepka, Francisco Molinari, Jason Day, and Harding, all 7 under Dustin Johnson, 6 under. John Rahm, 5 under, along with Ian Poulter, and a whole list of guys at 4 under, including Matt Kuchar and Phil Mickelson. A bunch of guys still on the course right now. John Ram still on the course, as well as Adam Scott, 4 under. A lot of the late guys are in. Tiger Woods is 3 under, finishing up the 9 holes there. So the Masters is shaping up to be one hell of a tournament. It's going to be a really fun weekend, that is for sure. All right, Dr. Bob. DrBobSports.com. Those of you tailing us, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. This guy is he is a legend. He's going to be on the phone here in just a minute, but it'll give us time, of course, to thank our good friends at Miami Acura for putting up with us, sponsoring us, making us part of their family. Certainly hope that when we talk about getting the right number, yeah, not only in sports investing, guys, but when it comes to car shopping, all right? It's always about getting the best number, and that's exactly what Miami Acura delivers. Whether it's a new car, a certified pre-owned car, or any one of the hundreds of used cars they have across all brands, not just Acura. So bottom line here is that you want to get the best price, you want to get the best number. You can do that by simply visiting MiamiAcura.com. Price it out. Go take them for a test drive. Go shopping, guys. Go to other dealers. Go ahead. Get their best offer, and then end up at MiamiAcura.com. Deborah and the whole gang there, they will take care of you, including the all-new 2019 RDX, which is an amazing vehicle. It's like driving in your living room. And the best part about it right now could very well be the price. I mean, this time of year, guys, do yourself a favor. Go get the car you've always wanted, but do it and get it at a price you never thought possible. That's what they do at Miami Acura. That's how they make it happen. It's MiamiAcura.com. That's MiamiAcura.com, or you can simply pick up the phone and call at 855-564-4669. That's 855-564-4669. That's MiamiAcura.com, guys. All right, Dr. Bob, Dr. Bob Sports, coming up next. Guys, all right, welcome in. Real excited. Our good friend Dr. Bob, Dr. Bob Sports, joining us here today. NBA playoffs time, and those of you that took our advice and followed Dr. Bob here for March Madness, you know how profitable that was for you. We would highly suggest you do the same thing here for the rest of the NBA playoffs through the championship. And Dr. Bob, I got to ask you, man, it's March Madness was great, you know, but now we're transitioning here into the NBA, and, you know, how different is it from a handicapping standpoint? I mean, variance is still variance, right? I mean, the numbers are still the numbers. Do you approach it the same way regardless if it's regular season or if it's the playoffs here when you start diving into the numbers?
Well, everything, my ratings are all based on they're rotation-specific, player-specific. And so I'm doing my playoff ratings are different than my regular season ratings. A lot of teams most teams play their starters more minutes in the playoffs. And so you really have to look at teams that have, who are much, much better with the starters than the reserves. And some teams have decent reserves, and that doesn't help them relatively. Whereas some teams have great starters and the reserves tend to get outscored when the stars are off the court. That the playoffs are going to help teams like that, who have a couple stars who make a big difference. Like Philadelphia is an example of that, when Embiid and Butler are in, and J.J. Redick. Well, those guys are going to get more minutes, and they're really, really good when those guys are in, and when the backups come in a little, they're really bad. But Embiid, assuming Embiid plays, he's questionable. But those guys, those starters will get more minutes. The Warriors, you can make that case. During the course of the season, a lot of blowouts they had, you know, Quinn Cook and all these guys. Those guys are going to play as many minutes in the playoffs. And you get a guy like, you know, Steph Curry's going to play more minutes when needed. I mean, when they're big favorites, it doesn't really matter. But in closer games, I mean, Steph Curry, I think he leads the NBA among starters in plus minus per 48 minutes, plus 14.1. And when he's out, they're a worse than average team when he's not on the court. Even if Durant and Thompson and everybody else is on the court, the Warriors are still a worse than average team with Curry off the court, but he'll play more minutes. So you sort of want to look at the teams like that have star players that are going to get more minutes, and that's going to make them relatively better. Now, a team like the Brooklyn Nets, their starters, their backups. It doesn't really matter who's in or out with them. I mean, they have really solid backups. So when the backups are in, they're playing just as well as far as plus minus per 48 minutes as the starters are. So that's going to relatively hurt a team like Brooklyn. They're not going to be relatively as good in the playoffs because playing their starters more minutes is not going to help them relatively, where it might help their opponent. So that's one thing I look at. Home court advantage is different in the playoffs. It's higher instead of 2.5 points is generally about the home court advantage. This year I think it was 2.35 or something like that was the average home court advantage. Home court advantage in the playoffs is around 4.3, so it's a couple points higher.
Wow. Okay.
Which
is interesting because you have you've got teams like Denver and San Antonio who their home records are unbelievable. Not so much when they're away. So and if you jack that up even more in the playoffs, then we could be looking at 7 games easy in a series like that.
Yeah, well, first of all, the odds makers know that the home court advantage in the playoffs is higher.
Right.
I mean, you'll see a team. You'll see the higher seed. Maybe let's say it's 2 evenly matched teams. Let's say, and the higher seeded team is favored by 6 at home in the first 2 games. Let's say, or they open up as a 6-point favorite in game 1, and those 2 games go about as expected. Well, you'll see in game 3 that the lower seed is always going to be they're going to be a 4.5-point favorite, or 4-point favorite, or what the odds makers know that the home court advantage is higher. It's not like normally in the regular season if a team was favored by 6 at home. They'd be about pick 'em on the road.
Wow.
Generally. Well, in the playoffs, a 6-point favorite at home is going to be a 4.3 or 4-point underdog on the road. And it depends on what the series price is.
Right.
The odds makers also know you need to adjust, for whether the team's coming off a win or a loss and what the series record is. I mean, this might perplex some people who don't understand it, but this happens all the time. And you'll see it this year too. Let's say you have an 8-point home favorite in game 1, and they win game 1 by 25 points. The price in game 2 will be 7.5 or 7. It'll go down. And people are like, or you have a 6-point favorite in game 1 losing straight up at home, and in game 2 they'll be favored by 7.
Wow.
And they're like, what? They just lost game 1. They were favored by 6. Why are they favored by 7? Because the odds makers know those are patterns in the playoffs that are different than the regular season. If you're just in general, the team off a loss, add a point to their rating. If you're looking at power ratings or doing something, add a point to the team coming off a loss, except if the team off a loss is up 3-1.
Okay.
Then you don't. Or if the team off a loss is down 0-3, those teams tend to give up.
Right.
So other than that, though, add a point to the team coming off a loss if you're using power ratings or whatever you're using. Just be aware of that because the odds makers are doing that. So you should too.
I'm wondering, too, then, it's interesting that you mentioned that. We see it sometimes in, like, the NHL and some other sports, certainly when the playoffs come. You are looking wild swings sometimes in the market, when all of a sudden a favorite loses. You kind of get this. The public certainly, I think, has an effect on this where they'll drive the price through the roof because they assume, like, well, the favorite's going to win the next game. It's got to win the second game. They can't, they can't possibly lose 2 in a row. And sometimes you scratch your head going, why is there such big fluctuation? Certainly not only from the game price, but from the series price, simply because a favorite might have lost 1 game.
Well, I think that odds makers, they tend to, and you might be right about that, but there could be other people that are saying, well, they couldn't even win as a favorite in game 1. Well, maybe, that's a reason for them to bet again. I mean, the odds makers do probably play to the public more in the playoffs than they do in the regular season.
Interesting.
So you might see the public perception, influencing the spread more in the postseason, but still, it's about the smart money,
right.
And the spread is indicative of the syndicates and the smarter players. And, in general, they don't care. The public's generally going to be wrong. And like I said, they might see an 8-point favorite win by 25 in game 1 and go, man, I don't believe they're only favored by 7.5 in game 2. They just won by 25. And the public's going to be on the favorite. And the odds makers know, like, good luck with that.
Yeah.
They know the patterns. The more you win by in one game, the more likely you are not to play well in the next game. That's the way the playoffs work. It's just very different than the regular season. So you have to be aware of that.
Which is why it is, guys, so important. Listen, you may have watched a little bit of NBA. You may have not have watched any, transitioning from March Madness. That's why it's so important to get guys who are spending, Dr. Bob pretty much has no life. It's 110 hours a week, guys. This is what he does. And to have utilize him and have him in your corner is how you profit here in the NBA playoffs. So make sure you guys are checking out DrBobSports.com. Talk to us right now, Dr. Bob, about how. Listen, series price versus game one price. Like if I like an underdog in a first game, should I also be looking possibly to maybe back them in a series or vice versa? Is there any correlation between the series bet versus what you should probably do game one?
Well, there should be. Value is value. Okay. If you think there's value on the favorite, then there's probably some value on them in the series. If you think there's value on the underdog in game one, there's probably value on the underdog in the series. Just be aware that series prices, there's a lot more juice. The house is taking a bigger cut of your money in series prices, the bigger, vig in series prices. So while there might be a little value on the underdog in game one if you think there's a little value on game one for the underdog, there might not be that value on the series price because of that, because they're taking a bigger chunk of your money overall. So, I mean, if you think it's a no doubt about it, Vegas has got this wrong, and I've got legitimate reasons for thinking that. If there's value, there's value. Yep. I mean, so series price, then go ahead. I mean, last year it was New Orleans. They played in the first round. I think they played Portland.
Portland. They swept them.
I thought New Orleans. So New Orleans later in the season got Nikola Mirotic from the Bulls, and he was playing off the bench for a while, and New Orleans got better, and then all of a sudden they inserted Mirotic in the starting lineup, and at the end of the season, they won 9 of their last 10 games, and I started digging into it, and I found when Mirotic plays with Anthony Davis, they were outscoring opponents by 17 points per 48 minutes.
Wow.
Now, they didn't have that as much when he was a backup, but when he got in the starting lineup, there was a bigger chunk of that game where those two were playing together, and they played really well. They get inside, outside. It was a perfect marriage of skill sets. And so I'm like, New Orleans is a vastly underrated team with Mirotic in the starting lineup, and I bet them in this series. I think they swept Portland, as I recall, but they were an underdog in that series, and I'm like, no, New Orleans is a better team with their current lineup. So I had a reason, a legitimate reason. I study this stuff constantly, a legitimate reason, and I knew that New Orleans was a better team than Portland at that point,
right?
And they were an underdog because over the course of the season, Portland was a better team, and so if you have a reason that you think there's value on one team or the other, then it's okay to bet the series too.
Yeah, and by the way, I mean, because after game one, the lines are going to shift. Just because you have a bet for the series doesn't mean each individual game, you can't switch back and forth and bet on the opposite team because, the series bet is the series bet, but it shouldn't be where you're just, this is some of the mistakes that the rookies make is that they'll just say, all right, I picked Brooklyn, for instance. Brooklyn's going to beat Philadelphia. I got to bet Brooklyn every game during the series. Probably not the best way to go about that.
Yeah, not necessarily because let's say Brooklyn wins game one.
Right.
Well, now you've got value on your series play, but home teams that lose game one are 65% against the spread or thereabouts. I haven't updated since last season, but about 65% against the spread to cover in game two. So, hey, take your game one win, but don't necessarily bet on Brooklyn in game two because the chances are, the pattern is against you. Even though the odds makers adjust the line, like let's say, Philadelphia favored by 7, let's say Embiid plays and the line's 8, let's say, and Brooklyn wins game one. You're like, man, well, the odds maker is going to jack that line up to 9 in game two, and Philadelphia is still likely to cover based on the pattern.
Right.
That home teams that lose game one of a series tend to cover game two, and they tend to win most of them by double digits. So that'd be a game like, you know what, even though there's value on Brooklyn, let's say, I'm going to stay off of game two because of that pattern. And then know that you have the value for the series play already. And then let's say Philadelphia wins game two by 20 points. Then you say, okay, maybe I'll take a look at Brooklyn in game three now. I mean, if you're better off betting teams off a loss than you are betting them off a win.
Great point.
So if you got the series play, don't bet every game. Just look for spots. If you already got value on the series, just look for spots to play them individually. But don't necessarily bet against Brooklyn. If You could if you want to hedge.
Right.
But if you think there's value on Brooklyn, there's value on Brooklyn. Unless there's a reason to change your mind in the middle of the series, then don't start hedging just to hedge. You know,
Great
people
advice.
do that. They hedge just to hedge, and you're just giving up. Expected value.
Yes.
You're just, So
easier to do, easier to do as you go along, and like you said, bet off a loss. Don't necessarily bet off a win. He is Dr. Bob, legendary, guys. When I tell you legendary here, I believe there's a statue being built at some point there at Cal for him. But he's one of the best, and we love every chance that we have a chance to actually talk to him here and pick his brain. Dr. Bob Sports is where you guys got to go. I think one of the other things that folks should be aware of is narratives. Be very aware of narratives leading into the playoffs. For instance, I mean, we have narratives here right now that Milwaukee's not going to be able to win anything because they've never been there or done that. And, another narrative is that, Kawhi Leonard is just, he's heads and tails. They're going to run over anybody that they play. You get these crazy narratives that one team can't play because of this guy and another team is great because of this guy. But, perception isn't necessarily reality here in the NBA playoffs, is it?
Well, that's for sure. You mentioned Kawhi Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
Here's an interesting stat about Kawhi Leonard, and there is a case to be made, and a pretty strong one, actually, that Toronto's better without him. First of all, his plus-minus numbers are worse than the rest of the starters.
Wow.
And how about this? When Kawhi Leonard plays, Toronto is 22-38 against the spread. When Kawhi Leonard does not play, Toronto is 16-6 against the spread, and they have a better straight-up record, too.
Oh, damn. Wow. I would have never thought that.
Right. But, I have these numbers, and I'm looking at, they're not that much worse with him playing. But if you go back and look at, go Basketball Reference or something and look at Kawhi Leonard, look at the logs, and you go into his game log,
mm-hmm.
and you see the games he missed, and you look win by 20, win by 20, win by 17. They have played better without Kawhi Leonard this year. Now, I think Orlando's a dangerous team. I think Toronto's playing really well. I mean, Marc Gasol was a huge pickup.
More than people
for
know.
them.
Yeah.
He's been much better than Serge Ibaka, and they recently they put Gasol in the starting lineup. Gasol now actually leads the team in plus-minus per 48 minutes, plus 15.5 points per 48 minutes when Gasol is in the game, whereas Serge Ibaka was plus 6.2. It was his plus-minus per 48 minutes when he's in the game. So getting Gasol, so I'm not, Leonard, by the way, the rest of the starters, Siakam's plus 11.2, Danny Green plus 13.8, Kyle Lowry plus 11.6, and here's Kawhi Leonard plus 8.4. And I was it's not terrible, but he should be higher because he's playing with these guys. He's playing with the rest of the starters. They're not that much worse, actually. In reality, they're probably not that much worse with Leonard in the game, but they actually have been a little worse. But they're better overall now because Gasol is starting now. So that's, something you've got to look at. Also, guys like C.J. Miles, is no longer on the team. Greg Monroe, he had to play center for a while before they picked up Gasol. When Valanciunas was out, Greg Monroe had a plus-minus of negative 82 in 400 minutes, so he's no longer on the team. So Toronto is a better team now heading into the playoffs than they are overall for the season, but so is Orlando.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really haven't dug into that. I really haven't decided what I'm going to do there. Orlando's a better team than they are over the course of the season too. So,
right.
But yeah, you need to, but perception and reality are not always, people are talking about OKC and, well, all right, OKC, they're favored against Portland in the series, which, I guess you could say, well, OKC's got Paul George and Russell Westbrook. Well, they've had those guys all year and they still didn't have a better record than Portland, and, the thing about Portland actually was struggling most early in the season. They had Nick Stauskas was getting a lot of minutes. He was getting quality minutes on that team. He has a plus-minus. This is a team, Portland, that has outscored their opponents by 344 points this season.
Wow. Well,
Nick Stauskas, when he was in the game, they were negative 166.
Oh.
They're plus 500 without him on the court. So as soon as they took Stauskas out of the starting lineup, that's when Portland started making that run. Now people are saying, yeah, but Yusuf Nurkic is out, and Yeah, that hurts, and I thought it would too.
Right.
I mean, Nurkic actually, at the time of the injury, he was leading the team in plus-minus per 48 minutes, and a very key player. You're thinking, but then again, Enes Kanter's come in, and Kanter a couple years ago when he was with OKC was considered, he was a backup, but he was considered as good as, he's considered a top 10 center, even though he's a backup, and a lot of teams wanted to get him, and he went to New York, and, everyone looks bad when they're playing for New York, but he's been in the starting since he's been in the starting lineup. Enes Kanter's plus-minus per 48 minutes is plus 16.6.
Wow.
So they haven't dropped off at all. In fact, they've gotten a little bit better when, at the center position without Nurkic. I mean, a lot of that could be variance.
Right.
And you could say, well, I don't think Kanter's as good as it, but they're not that much worse. And so far, there's been no fall off at all since that injury. So if you're making the case for OKC because Nurkic is out, you don't really have that case.
Yeah.
Because Kanter's been so far better when he's been in the lineup as a starter than Nurkic was.
Not the right narrative.
That could be
not the right.
It could be, yeah. And the narrative is they're worse without Nurkic. Well, they haven't been though, and there's been enough games so far that they have not been worse. Now they get C.J. McCollum back, and McCollum was out for a lot of those games. Now they get C.J. McCollum back. Portland's a better team than OKC, and they're an underdog in the series, which is. I could be wrong, but I'm usually right.
Yes,
I usually do well in these. I usually do right in these series bets, and I already bet Portland to win the series at plus 135. So
love it, Dr. Bob Sports. All right, one more before I let you go here because this has been a big topic of conversation. Identity as far as the Boston Celtics go. What happens with the Boston Celtics when, when adversity hits? Are they going to point? Are they going to turn on each other? Are they really a better team than Indiana, who, by the way, another one of those narratives where Indiana wasn't going to be any good without Victor Oladipo? Well, they actually turned out to be a pretty decent team here, and they're going up against the Boston team. But how big, and I don't know if you had a chance to dive in the numbers, but how big a loss is Marcus Smart to this Boston Celtics team right now?
That's tough to say. I mean, the thing is, the key players in this team, Jason Tatum and Kyrie Irving, they both have plus-minus per 48 of 7 and 7.2. So they're clearly the best players on the team. Marcus Smart, who's played most of the season as a starter with those guys, has a plus-minus per 48 of 3.5, plus 3 point, which is about the same as the team. I mean, his plus-minus per 48 minutes is no better than the rest of the team. So it's hard to make a case that they're going to be that much worse or worse at all. I don't know. It depends on who's taking his minutes.
Right. And that's where depth comes in. Your point earlier is why depth is so important here in the playoffs.
Yeah, but the rest of these guys, these backups, all have good plus-minuses.
Okay.
Let's see. Ojale was plus 5.6 points per 48 minutes. Wanamaker plus 10.2 points per 48 minutes. Daniel, even the backup center, Thies plus 7.0 per 48 minutes. I mean, all these guys, all these backups have good plus-minus per 48 minutes numbers. I mean, I'm not going to deduct anything for Smart being out. I'm not going to add anything, and I think they are better than Indiana, even though they've struggled recently. The Celtics have. I still think they are better than Indiana, and I think they're probably gonna win the series. I don't know if there's value on them though.
Right.
I don't know if the public perception against Boston at this point is enough to have value on Boston. But I really don't think there's value on Indiana. They picked up Wesley Matthews from Dallas, and Wesley Matthews the last couple of years has had a horrible plus-minus for the Mavericks. Even when the Mavericks were decent a couple of years ago, his plus-minus was still negative. Well, since Matthews has been on the team, he's got a negative 51 plus-minus. He's the only regular rotation player on the team with a negative plus-minus.
Wow.
So they've actually gotten worse since they picked up Wesley Matthews. And you're right, they were playing just as well after Oladipo got hurt as they were before he got hurt. But then they picked up Wesley Matthews, and they've been worse.
Wow.
So that's the problem with Indiana, is they've been a little bit worse since they picked up Wesley Matthews, and that's not a surprise to me.
Amazing stuff. Guys, that's exactly why it is. You got to head over to drbobsports.com, drbobsports.com. Get him in your corner, will you, this NBA playoff season? You want to be a little more profitable, you want to make some money, you want to be right, then this is the place to go, obviously. Nobody does it better than Dr. Bob, Dr. Bob Sports. And, Bob, we appreciate your time as always, my friend. Always a pleasure having a chance to talk to you and learn from you, pick your brain. Great stuff, my friend. Thank you very much. Good luck in the NBA playoffs, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon, man.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. Great to be on.
Damn, we're talking Dr. Bob, drbobsports.com. Great stuff. I mean, huge stuff there, guys. And if you're just joining us, by the way, welcome in. Happy Friday. I hope you'll go ahead once we're done here. Of course, the videos will be available. They're always housed on our social media page, of course, on Periscope, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. You guys pick it. But what he just went through there in about 18 to 20 minutes of some of the ways to go about who you're picking, whether it be from a series standpoint or individual games. Some real valuable information there, trying to help, especially some of the novices. And hell, even, listen, even if you're a seasoned capper, listening to Bob there kind of break it down and give you some angles to look at and some things to try and avoid. We say it all the time on this show, right? It's all about knowledge is power, right? You want to be a little more profitable in 2019. You want to go ahead and profit in the NBA playoffs. Well, it starts by, A, not being the smartest dude in the room, okay? If that's the case, find your ass another room. I mean, it's that simple. And learning and listening from guys that have had a track record of success, guys that are doing it, have done it, are successful, and guys that are diving into it. Like he said in that interview there. Dude's putting in 100 hours a week. He has been all of football season, March Madness, and, of course, now finishing up the NBA season. Love that. Love when he talks about the numbers. Love how he talks about the difference between perception and reality and how, there are some series and some matchups here in the first round that certainly provide some value, not only from a series standpoint, but from a game standpoint. So great stuff there. And, of course, guys, get to drbobsports.com. It's not that hard. Get to drbobsports.com. Another one of the best websites with free information. Forget about anything else. The amount of free stuff that he puts on there, free information, breakdowns, awesome. I mean, absolutely awesome. If this is the first time you're having a chance to hear from Bob there and drbobsports.com, do yourself a favor. Tell him on Twitter, okay, at Dr. Bob Sports. Go to his website, make it in your favorite places, and put it in the back of your head, not only for the NBA season, college basketball, and, he takes a few months off for the summer, comes back, and we've got him again for college football and the NFL. But one of the truly best, love when we have a chance to talk to him, really dives into the analytics, the numbers, and he's only been doing it, 30-some-odd years that he's been delivering time after time after time. So awesome stuff. Want to thank Dr. Bob again. And make sure you guys, as soon as we're done here, hit the rewind button, rewatch this, and share it, would you please? There's a lot of great stuff there that all of us who are going to be spending our money wagering, investing this weekend in the NBA. Some great stuff there. We could all, information everybody could use. So don't forget, it's not Dr. Bob versus you or me or anybody else. It's all of us collectively versus the sports books, right? Remember that. They're the ones with the money. They're the pains in the asses. They're the ones we are trying to, pulling the money from. So they got enough of it. We'd like to kind of distribute it among ourselves. So anything you guys can do as far as that goes, helping us spread the word, would be much appreciated. All right, so that was Dr. Bob. Let's talk a little bit here about our TrendyBets.com friends who are getting ready to embark on a amazing NBA playoff season as well. How do I know that? Well, for the entire NBA season, they have delivered a free NBA play of the day here on the show. I've given it to you every Monday through Friday, and 63% on the year. in just their free plays here on the show. And I know a whole bunch of you that have been tailing us from the very beginning. Yeah, you know, we laugh sometimes at you know, how it came to be, and some of the stretches where, you know, they went 18-1, 19-2, those kinds of things there, undefeated for like 2 weeks, 5-0. It was just it was a crazy season, guys, really on top of it. And now, of course, the NBA playoffs is here, and certainly I know I've already talked to a bunch of you. You guys aren't stopping now. You're certainly going to utilize them for the NBA playoffs, and I don't blame you. TrendyBets.com, that is the place to go. TrendyBets.com, also at TrendyBets. Make sure you guys are tailing them on Twitter. Free plays always popping up there. Major League Baseball season, NBA playoffs. Hop on board, guys. Go check them out. Give them an opportunity to earn your business, and I can assure you they will earn it, no problem. All right, before we get into their play, though, once again, how many of you are line shopping? How many of you have shopped for any of the plays today that you went out and made? If the answer is you didn't, you're doing it wrong here, people. Okay? You need an offshore that you can rely upon to gives you an option to be able to shop. You got to have access to multiple books, okay? Which means ultimately you need an offshore you can count on. I'm giving you one right now, 1-800-UWager. Call them right now. They're standing by, 1-800-UWager. They're going to drop in 100% of whatever you open the account with. And by the way, it doesn't have to be for $1 trillion. Put $50 in, $100. Give yourself an opportunity to access the lines and the markets there. And I can tell you right now, over the last month, since in March Madness, from the beginning of March Madness till now, guys, one of the most aggressive pricing models I have seen on the market, and I belong to just about every book. But these guys, very aggressive in their pricing. They don't panic and, you know, and jack you up on the juice every 12 seconds. There is really, really great pricing right now happening, which would give you guys a great opportunity to be able to shop. No matter who you use, you got to be able to go and get the best number. Why? Because you're not betting teams, you're betting numbers, all right? You're playing numbers, not teams. So give yourself an option there. 1-800-UWager. They're waiting. Give them that code, JRS50. That's JRS50, Joe Raineri Show 50, and they'll go ahead and give you a 100% deposit bonus match. They will double it. You put in 100, they'll put in 100. It's that simple, guys, all right? Give yourself some options here, and shout out to our good friends at UWager there, again, delivering, and I love them from the fact that you can pick up the phone and you get somebody you understand. They answer. They get your questions. They help you out every which way. The promotions are awesome. But really, the pricing and the ability to put money in and pull money out, really second to none. So thank you again to UWager for being a part of the show, being part of the Joe Raineri Show family. Awesome stuff. It's a pleasure to have you. Now, Trendy Bets. Let's do this. Tonight, Yankees. White Sox. Yankees finally home after getting their asses handed to them by the Houston Astros over the week there. And it's a big number now. I think that's come down. I don't think it's oh, no, it's right around there. I'm on at 230, 240 right now. Yankees on the money line. Total 9.5. It's bounced around to 10, then it was back down to 9.5. Our friends at Trendy Bets, not only, and I'm sure they love the Yankees, but they love the over here tonight, 9.5. The over, 12-3-2 in the White Sox last 17 overall. The over is 5-0 in Giolito's last 5 starts, who's on the mound for the White Sox. Of course, the over 5-1 in the Yankees' last 6. And the over is 5-0 in Hap's last 5 starts overall. So all indications, including the weather at Yankee Stadium, are pointing to probably a whole bunch of balls being hit out of the ballpark tonight. Probably a real safe bet there. Over 9.5. White Sox, Yankees. Of course, that is your TrendyBets.com free NBA. MLB play of the day. Love that from them. So good luck to them, and good luck to you guys. Make sure you're visiting TrendyBets.com and make it a very profitable Friday night here. Also got our friends we want to send a shout-out to. How about HalftimeMagic.com? Just heard from them. Our buddy Scott and the gang. Here's what we got going on here, guys, all right? And I've done this, and you're going to hear me hammer this home now for the rest of the NBA season. I can tell you right now, HalftimeMagic.com single-handedly has made me the most money this year than any other resource or handicapping knowledge and any handicapping system or site that I've used, Halftime Magic has made me personally some of the most money. I've actually been using them the longest, but they have made me some of the most money all year long. And by the way, whether it's Trendy Bets, Halftime Magic, guys, I utilize all the services, all the guys, all the cappers you see here on this show. I have absolutely used my own money and have absolutely backed them, tried them, followed them, and vetted them, and I would never in a million years bring anybody on here if I didn't spend my hard-earned ass money utilizing them and using these guys, okay? I would never in a million years do that. Unfortunately, there are a lot of tool bags who do that. But no, I put my money where my mouth is, and I am telling you right now, the guys at halftimemagic.com, second half wagering, have just dominated this year. Off the charts in college football, NFL, college basketball, and the NBA, and they are here. You guys want to talk about having an edge. These guys all year, and not just this year, guys, over the last 2 to 3 years, fully documented. Go to halftimemagic.com. We're talking 58, 59% here in second half plays. All right, that's rock star. That's rock star area, guys, over not 30 plays. Okay, we're talking 1,500, 2,000 plays here. Their system, their edge, their formula, it works. I'm telling you, it works. I've watched my bankroll go from a couple of $100 here to it has just continued to grow all year long, utilizing the guys at halftimemagic.com. So what I'm telling you is they have the opportunity for you to hop on board for the NBA playoffs right through the championship. $99, I believe, and you will get every one of the Halftime Magic alerts, alerting you to the second half plays. Now, if you're new to second half wagering, guys, it's very simple. The first half, full game lines, there's full game, there's first half, and then there's second half. And the second half lines don't come out until the second half. There you go. So what does that mean? Well, it means that you're not going to have a chance to play a second half line on Thursday afternoon waiting for a Thursday night game. The only time that you can play the second half is about the 10 to 12 minutes when the half happens. That's it. The lines get posted. The alerts go out. And once the alert goes out, you guys have an opportunity at that particular point. You get notified on this, and you've got yourself maybe 7 or 8 minutes to be able to log on to UWager, whatever your book is, and put the play in. It's fast. It's on the edge. It's very high energy. The alerts come over. Boom, you make the play, and it's that simple. And again, these guys are taking the data in real time that they're seeing on what's happening real time in the games. They're formulating it. They wait for the lines to come out. Once the lines are posted, boom. If it fits within the category, they send it to you. You get the alert. You make the play. You cash the ticket. You move on to the next game. It's that simple, guys. Oh, yeah, and it's that damn profitable. If you guys haven't, and we've all talked to guys here on this show, we've talked to sharps that will absolutely, under no circumstances, play full game lines. The only thing they do is play second half lines. That's it. They feel they have an edge. There's very few services in this country, in the business, that actually utilize this and do it well, documented, who are transparent. Halftime Magic is absolutely one of them. So I'll put it up here on the screen because I really want you guys to, if you missed it, if you're just joining us, if you're new, do not be left out in the cold. I am telling you personally, okay, the most money I've made this year, the biggest profit I have had has come from second half wagering thanks to our friends at Halftime Magic. I have spent my own money. I have used every one of the services on this show, and I certainly have utilized Halftime Magic. It works, guys. The edge is there, and the profitability is there, and it's a whole hell of a lot of fun, man, when those alerts come over second half, where you watch what happened in the first half. And this works a lot. I know a lot of you guys that have spent full game lines, you've made a play, and then all of a sudden it didn't necessarily work out the way you thought it was going to work out in the first half. And a lot of you are like, oh, crap, I'm dead. Well, not necessarily. That's where guys like Halftime Magic come in, and boom, now all of a sudden you can go ahead and make a profit on the game that you may not be happy with the original play, but that's okay because the second half is its own game in itself. Whatever happened in the first half, whatever your full game line is, has no bearing on the second half of these games. I beg you guys, give it a shot. Try it right now. Get over to halftimemagic.com. In fact, if you send him an email, I believe right now, he's going to go ahead, throw a couple of free plays in there for you this weekend and get you guys signed up all throughout the playoffs. Email him now. It's support@halftimemagic.com. Put my name in the subject line, and you'll go ahead. He'll give you a whole bunch of free plays for the weekend during the NBA playoffs to start. And then Monday, guys, it is off to the races. It's that simple, all right? I mean, it's literally an email away for you guys being able to test it out, get a few free plays this weekend, all right, in the NBA playoffs, and then come Monday, guys, you'll never look back, and you might never, ever play a full game line again, I'm telling you. $99, really? You'll make that play. You'll make that back plus some in the first bet. In the first second half wager, the alert that comes over, I promise you, you will make that back. So do yourself a favor, halftimemagic.com. That's the website. Shoot them an email, support@halftimemagic.com. Put my name in the subject line. Guys, start utilizing and profiting from second half wagering. All right? Love those guys there. Thank you very much. It looks like the Masters is in a rain delay or a weather delay of some sort. Three guys at the top, Molinari, Jason Day, Brooks Koepka. All of them are finished. Dustin Johnson, 6 under, followed by, and I'm glad because I've got a big ticket on this guy, Adam Scott. He's on the 14th right now. Adam Scott, 3 under yesterday. He's already 3 under through 14 holes right now. He's 6 under. Louis Oosthuizen right behind him, 6 under. Justin Harding finished at 6 under. And then you've got a couple of guys, John Ram, Ian Poulter at 5. Tiger Woods at 4 with a hole. So Tiger Woods on the 11th hole. A 4 under, along with guys like Phil Mickelson, Charles Howell III, Matt Kuchar. Big list of guys at 4 under. But right now, what's leading? 7 under, with a couple of guys still lurking, like Adam Scott with about 4 or 5 holes left to play. Louis Oosthuizen might be able to get it to 8, might be able to get it to 9, depending on what happens here with the weather. Dustin Johnson, 6 under. And some of these guys had the number up. I mean, Molinari, we told you this earlier today on Make It Rain on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network, guys. We had Jason Sobel on from the Action Network. One of the premier golf handicappers, and we were talking about the odds shifted after the first round. We talked about some of the guys that we liked. We were throwing around some names of some of the guys that we liked with the new numbers. I mean, Rory, for instance, opened up at about 7 or 8 to 1, 6, 7, 8, 1. I think the closing line was somewhere around there. And after he shot one over yesterday, he was at 25 to 1, along with Ian Poulter. So he went from 6 or 7 to 1 to 25 to 1 after one round. But the guy we all agreed on and we circled was Francisco Molinari, one of the best ball strikers on tour, bar none, guys, okay? Not to mention, he knows this golf course, and he already knows he can win a major, okay? He's a major champion, and the ball striking ability, second to none. And when you get weather like this, Molinari is one of those guys that can keep the ball out of the air. He can keep it low, and his iron play just unbelievable. Had the putter working today, shot a 67, put himself in a tie for the lead. Jason Day put some Bengay on or whatever he did for his back. He shot 67. Dustin Johnson probably should have better. 6 under par, shot even par. Dustin probably could have been a little bit better here today. Brooks Koepka 1 over. Wasn't good for him today either. He came back down. But, again, Koepka, Day, Molinari at the top. Dustin Johnson and our boy Adam Scott, 1 stroke behind, along with Justin Harding at 6 under. So really starting to get a shape and a feel as to what we're looking at over the weekend. And those of you that, in that top 10, those of you that are holding tickets, pretty good deal there. Rory's just not been Rory. I don't even know if he's going to make the cut at this particular point. And proving once again that the favorites, we told you that the odds-on favorite of the Masters hasn't won it since Tiger Woods back in 2005. Favorites don't win the Masters, all right? It's almost like the kiss of death. It's like Duke in the national championship. Preseason, okay, favorites to win the national championship Guess what? They don't win squat. So save your money, because in March Madness, when it comes down to it, whoever was the opening preseason favorite, it doesn't happen. I mean, Connecticut did it, many moons ago. They came up in the early 2000s. I think that was the last time it happened. Preseason favorites don't win, and they sure as hell don't win during the Masters. So, and once again, that is proven to be true. So I hope you guys didn't spend an awful lot of money on Rory there, because it doesn't look like it's going to happen. It looks like he might not even make the cut. So we'll keep you posted there. It looks like they're getting back on the golf course. Plenty of action to go here. Tiger Woods, 11th hole. He's got a putt for birdie. Hopefully he'll go ahead and be there. It'll always be fun if Tiger's in the conversation, that's for sure. All right, Dr. Bob, appreciate that. Got a couple of plays for you coming up this weekend. In fact, let me give you a couple of plays that we love and that we are excited about. So hold on one second. Let me open up the book. Let me tell you where I'm going here tonight. Let's see here. All right, tonight in baseball, we're going to take a couple of teams here. I'm going to take the Mets tonight. I'm going to take Zach Wheeler. I think he has been pretty damn good here this year, although he's had to face Washington a few times. But I think he's going to be better, certainly, than what is being thrown at him tonight on the mound from Atlanta. So I'm going to go ahead and say that the Mets keep rolling here tonight. The Mets are probably just a real short, maybe minus 103, 100. I think somewhere in that ballpark. It's been bouncing back and forth. I like the Mets. I like the Cleveland Indians. I think that at a real short number, I'm sure it's not this. I played this earlier. It was at $1.50, a minus 150. And listen, I thought that was a bargain given the fact that Cleveland is just dominated division rivals last year. Like they've owned the Royals for the past few seasons. I mean, it's no surprise there. I think they have a huge advantage with Carrasco going up against Keller. Listen, neither team has hit all that well, okay? But when you have the kind of pitching that Cleveland does, you don't really need to get a whole lot of bats going here. Without Lindor and Ramirez, of course, not really being there yet. They've done great things. The pitching has been there, but I doubt the Royals. Okay, what have they lost? 10 out of the last. I doubt very much the Royals are going to flip the switch, and all of a sudden they're going to be they're going to be hitting they're going to hit the crap out of the. Yeah, it's not going to happen against the Indians pitching staff. So I'm good with that. Lay the juice. I got Cleveland, and I'm going to take. This is an odd one. I'm going to take Milwaukee tonight. I'm going to take Burns there versus Urias, who got his didn't look good against Colorado in his last outing there. And listen, Burns looks like a world beater one pitch, and then I don't know what the hell he's throwing the next. But both of these teams came off of sweeps. The Angels swept the Brewers, and the Dodgers got swept by St. Louis. So Dodgers are coming home. However, Milwaukee had off yesterday while the Dodgers were playing in St. Louis. So, and that was a barn burner of a game. And so Milwaukee's rested. They've been there, ready to rock and roll. The Dodgers have been traveling, and, they've had a brutal series in St. Louis. Now they're at home. I do think the Brewers have a decent advantage here. LA's probably got the better offense by a click, but not like it's been hitting the cover off the ball. I think that for the price, Milwaukee at plus 135, 140. I think Milwaukee's a solid play here tonight. I'll ride with the Brewers to get the job done against the Dodgers tonight. Mets, Indians, Dodgers. That's what I got for you. I want to thank Dr. Bob once again for coming on. Encourage you guys, if you're just joining us, if you didn't see it, some great, or about 20 minutes, guys, take the time to take a watch to what Dr. Bob gave us information-wise, some strategy, talked about some of the teams, some of the matchups here in the NBA playoffs. Well worth it, okay, guys? Well worth it. Great knowledge there. Make sure that you guys go ahead, like this video, share it, retweet it, follow us, subscribe to us, all of that good stuff. Spread the knowledge, guys. That's what it's all about. The more knowledge we have, the more profitable we'll be, the smarter sports investor we all want to become. And how do you do that? You do it by listening to guys like Dr. Bob, Trendy Bets, HalftimeMagic.com. The list goes on. Wager Talk. Just great set of guys, very knowledgeable, and that's how you become profitable. Stop making the same stupid mistakes over and over and over and start utilizing guys like Dr.Bob Sports and Trendy Bets and Halftime Magic. Let them start working for you, because the investment that it would cost to get guys like this in your corner, you'll make it back in the first 3 plays. So, everything in perspective. You don't need to be the smartest dude in the room, guys. You really don't. Not when you've got guys that have been doing this, been there, done that, have made the mistakes, and making sure that you don't. So definitely want to thank those guys very, very much for coming by. We are not done yet either. Actually, tomorrow we'll be back on Saturday. Big UFC card. Kyle Anthony from WagerTalk.com is going to join us. We'll go live tomorrow. He's going to break down the 2 main events, the co-main event, the main one, Max Holloway fighting, Israel, I can't remember his last name, but he's fighting too as well. 2 big main event fights. It's a 13-fight card. And Kyle has been absolute money at Wager Talk, Kyle Anthony. So we'll talk to him tomorrow. Also, soccer getting ready to go underway tomorrow. Europe, England, Champions League. Our friend Charles Meshell will get his plays ready for you. Big morning tomorrow morning, getting you set up for the weekend. Big night here Friday night. Make it a profitable weekend, guys. Will you? Just do me a favor. Go ahead and like these videos. Share them. Tell your friends. And make sure, once again, you guys get over to halftimemagic.com. Get yourself signed up for those second half plays coming up here in the NBA playoff season. Good luck, guys. Thanks for making us a part of your week. Come back and join us again tomorrow. I promise. More information, more money, more quality plays. Good luck tonight, guys. We'll talk to you. It's the Joe Raineri Show.